I should have known something was off the moment I stepped into my best friend's house that summer. But sometimes, the most unexpected things happen when you least expect them. Jason and I had been best friends since high school, the kind of friendship where you could spend days together without ever getting tired of each other's company. When he invited me to stay at his place for the summer, I didn't hesitate. His family had always been welcoming, and it felt like a perfect escape from my own routine. His mom, a warm and kind woman, was always busy between work and running errands. His dad traveled often for business, which meant Jason and I pretty much had free reign over the house, or so I thought. What I didn't expect was Jason's uncle, Marcus. I hadn't met him before. Jason barely ever mentioned him. But the moment I walked in and was introduced, I felt something shift in the air. Marcus was in his late 30s, tall, broad-shouldered, with a quiet confidence that made him hard to ignore. His dark eyes had a way of holding your gaze just a little too long, and when he smiled, it wasn't just friendly. It was knowing, like he was already in on a secret I didn't understand yet. He shook my hand firmly, his grip strong, fingers lingering just a second longer than necessary. "So, you're the famous best friend," he said, his deep voice carrying a hint of amusement. Jason rolled his eyes. "Ignore him. He thinks he's charming." Marcus chuckled. "That's because I am." I laughed it off, but there was something about the way he looked at me that left an unfamiliar heat in my chest. I told myself I was overthinking it. It was probably just his personality. Some people had that naturally magnetic energy. The house itself had a familiar comfort. It was a little old, but that only made it feel cozier. Wooden floors creaked slightly under my steps, and the scent of coffee and faint cologne lingered in the air. Jason and I dropped my bags in his room before heading to the kitchen to grab something to eat. As I reached for a drink from the fridge, I felt a presence behind me. Turning slightly, I saw Marcus leaning against the counter, watching me with an unreadable expression. "You staying the whole summer?" he asked casually. I nodded. "That's the plan." "Good," he said, his lips twitching into that same smirk. "Should be interesting." There was nothing overtly wrong with his words, but something about the way he said them made my pulse quicken. As I turned to follow Jason into the living room, Marcus gave my back a light pat. A simple, harmless gesture, and yet I swore his hand lingered just a second too long. The first few days at Jason's house felt just like old times. Easy, familiar, and fun. We spent our days lounging around, playing video games until our eyes burned, stuffing ourselves with junk food and spending long evenings by the pool, talking about everything and nothing at the same time. Jason's mom was in and out, busy with work, and for the most part, we had the house to ourselves. Except, of course, for Uncle Marcus. At first, I barely thought about his presence. He wasn't intrusive. He didn't hover or make his presence obvious. But he was around more than I expected, more than he should have been. He didn't seem to have anywhere to be, and I started noticing that no matter where I was in the house, he wasn't far away. It was small things at first. I'd glance up from a game and find him standing across the room, watching. He never looked away in embarrassment when I caught him. Instead, he'd hold my gaze just long enough to make me question if I was imagining it before turning his attention elsewhere. One evening, after Jason had gone upstairs to take a shower, I found myself alone in the kitchen grabbing a soda. I didn't even hear Marcus walk in. I only realized he was there when I closed the fridge and nearly bumped into him. "Didn't mean to sneak up on you," he said. But there was something in his voice. Amusement, maybe. "No worries," I muttered, stepping back. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "So, Jason tells me you're single." I exhaled a short laugh, feeling caught off guard by the sudden shift in conversation. Yeah." Marcus tilted his head slightly, as if studying me. "By choice?" I shrugged. "I guess. Haven't really found the right person." "Maybe you've been looking in the wrong places," he mused. His eyes didn't leave mine. "Or at the wrong type of people." Something about the way he said it made my skin prickle. I tried to play it off. "I think I have a pretty good idea of what I like." He smiled. "And does that include someone older?" I let out an awkward laugh, my brain scrambling for a response. Was he joking? It felt like a joke, but there was something behind his words, something deliberate. Before I could answer, Jason called out from upstairs, breaking whatever moment was forming between us. I quickly grabbed my drink and walked away, telling myself I was overthinking everything. But the feeling didn't go away. Over the next few days, I noticed other things. His hand on my shoulder that lingered just a bit too long when he walked past me. The way he stood just a little too close when we ended up in the same space. The way he always seemed to be watching, waiting. I told myself I was imagining it, that he was just an overly confident guy who didn't understand personal space. But deep down, I knew better. Jason had plans that night, something about meeting up with some old friends from high school. He asked if I wanted to come, but I wasn't in the mood for small talk with people I barely knew. So I stayed back. I told myself it was just a quiet night alone. Just me, a movie, maybe some snacks. But I wasn't alone. Marcus was still there. I found him in the kitchen when I went to grab something to drink. The light above the stove cast a dim glow, making the room feel warmer, more intimate. He was shirtless, standing by the counter, pouring himself a cup of coffee. I told myself it wasn't weird. He lived here after all. But something about the way he moved, slow and deliberate, made the air feel heavier. "You don't like going out?" he asked, not looking at me right away. I shrugged. Just wasn't feeling it. He nodded, taking a sip of his coffee, then set the cup down. His gaze met mine, and there it was again. That unreadable expression, the one that made my skin feel too tight. He smirked slightly. "You're a quiet one." I let out a short laugh, trying to play it cool. "I just don't have much to say." "I doubt that." He pushed off the counter, taking a slow step toward me. I should have moved. I should have put more space between us, but I didn't. "You ever wondered what it's like to be with a real man?" The words landed between us, heavy and deliberate. My stomach twisted, my pulse hammering in my ears. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I wasn't naive. I knew what he was asking, what he was implying. His gaze flickered to my lips, just for a second, before locking back onto my eyes. I should have said something, should have stepped back. But I didn't. The space between us disappeared, and suddenly he was close enough that I could feel the heat of his skin, close enough that his scent, clean, warm, intoxicating, wrapped around me. His fingers brushed my wrist, light, barely there. A test, an invitation. I felt the pull, the undeniable magnetism that had been building since the moment I met him. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket, shattering the moment. I jolted, taking a sharp step back as I fumbled to pull it out. Jason's name flashed on the screen. I hit answer without thinking. "Yo, what's up?" I asked, my voice a little too high, a little too shaky. Jason didn't seem to notice. He just wanted to check in, see if I needed anything before he headed home. I stole a glance at Marcus. He was still watching me, his expression unreadable. But there was something else there now. Something darker. "I'm good," I told Jason, quickly. "See you when you get back." I ended the call and shoved my phone in my pocket. The silence in the kitchen stretched. Marcus let out a quiet chuckle, shaking his head. Saved by the bell, I exhaled a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I started, but I didn't finish. He didn't say anything, just gave me one last lingering look before turning back to his coffee. I walked out of the kitchen, my heart still racing, my hands still shaking. I told myself I was confused, that it was nothing, but that was a lie. Because the truth was, I wasn't just shaken. I was drawn to him. More than I wanted to admit. I tried to avoid Marcus after that night. I told myself it was for the best. That whatever tension had been simmering between us needed to disappear before it turned into something I couldn't undo. I kept my distance, stuck by Jason whenever possible, and found excuses to be anywhere Marcus wasn't. But it didn't matter. He was still there, always near, always watching. Never pushing, never saying anything out of line, but present. And that was enough to drive me insane. Jason remained oblivious. He laughed at Marcus's jokes, never noticed the way his uncle's eyes lingered on me. If he picked up on my sudden nervous energy whenever Marcus entered a room, he never mentioned it. Maybe he just assumed I was tired. Maybe he just didn't care. One night, after a long day, I found myself outside by the pool, trying to clear my head. The water was calm, the air cool against my skin. Floating on my back, I stared up at the sky, watching the stars blink lazily above me. It was peaceful, quiet, exactly what I needed. Then I heard the soft splash of water. I turned my head just in time to see Marcus slipping into the pool. I tensed, but I didn't move. He swam closer, slow, effortless strokes, until he stopped just a few feet away. The space between us felt smaller than it should have. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked, his voice low, carrying easily over the water. I swallowed hard. "Just needed some air." He nodded, running a hand through his wet hair. The silence stretched between us, thick and charged. Then, his voice broke it. "I know you feel it too." I froze. His words hung in the air like a confession, like a challenge. I looked away, staring up at the sky again, my chest tight. "I don't know what you're talking about," I muttered. "Liar." I felt his presence inch closer. The water shifted, sending small ripples between us. My pulse pounded, my body, betraying me in ways I didn't want to acknowledge. "This isn't—" I started, but I couldn't even finish the sentence. His fingers brushed against my wrist under the water, the lightest touch, but it sent a jolt through me like electricity. I should have pulled away, but I didn't. He moved closer, and suddenly, his lips were on mine. It was desperate, heated, and for a brief moment, I let myself sink into it. His hand slid to the back of my neck, holding me in place, and I felt my body responding before my mind could catch up. Then, reality crashed back in. I yanked away, breathing hard, my heart slamming against my ribs. This can't happen," I stammered, pushing back, creating distance. Marcus didn't chase me. He just stared at me, his expression unreadable, the water lapping softly between us. I didn't give him a chance to say anything else. I turned and climbed out of the pool, grabbing a towel with shaking hands, and walked away without looking back. The next morning, I half expected things to be different, for Marcus to act strange, to acknowledge what had happened, to say something. But he didn't. He was normal. Too normal. Laughing with Jason over breakfast, scrolling through his phone on the couch like nothing had happened. And that was somehow worse, because now I didn't know what to think. Had it even meant anything to him? Or was I just another game he was playing? It all came crashing down faster than I ever could have expected. Jason found out. I didn't know how. Maybe he overheard something. Maybe he noticed the way I tensed up around Marcus, the way I struggled to meet his eyes. Or maybe Marcus had slipped somehow, done something careless. But none of that mattered anymore. The damage was done. I walked into Jason's room that afternoon, only to find him already there, standing stiffly in the middle of the floor, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. His face was red with anger, his jaw tight. "You want to tell me what the hell is going on?" His voice was sharp, shaking with something I couldn't quite place. Betrayal, disbelief, maybe even disgust. My stomach dropped. "Jason, I'm not stupid." He cut me off, his eyes blazing. "You and my uncle? Seriously?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Jason let out a harsh, humorless laugh. "Wow, just wow. My best friend and my uncle." His voice cracked on the last word. I felt sick. My skin was hot, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Jason, I didn't mean for any of this to—" "Oh, you didn't mean for it?" He threw his hands up. "That makes it so much better." I wanted to explain, to tell him that I had been confused, that I never wanted to hurt him, that I hadn't even understood what was happening myself. But all of it sounded weak, like empty excuses. "You're supposed to be my best friend," Jason spat, his voice breaking. "Not whatever this is." His words cut deeper than I expected. Shame clawed its way up my throat, heavy and suffocating. I felt like the worst person in the world. Before I could say anything else, Marcus walked into the room. He didn't look surprised. If anything, he looked resigned, like he'd been expecting this moment. He crossed his arms, leaning casually against the doorframe, as if this wasn't about to explode into something irreparable. Jason's glare snapped toward him. "And you? Jesus, Marcus. What the hell is wrong with you?" His voice wavered, thick with emotion. "He's my best friend. You knew that." Marcus exhaled through his nose, rubbing the back of his neck. "I never meant to hurt you, kid." Jason let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, screw that. You don't care. You never have." Marcus didn't react to that. He didn't argue, didn't try to defend himself. His expression was unreadable. But for just a second, so quick I almost missed it, I thought I saw something behind his eyes. Regret, maybe. Or sadness. Jason shook his head, then turned back to me. "I want you to leave." I felt my chest tighten. "Jason, leave." His voice was firm. Final. I stood there, frozen, my world crumbling around me. I wanted to fight for our friendship. I wanted to fix it. But I didn't know how. So I did the only thing I could. I left. I left that night, taking my things and leaving, behind the house that had once felt like a second home. The drive back to my apartment was a blur, empty streets, the hum of the engine, and my mind spinning with everything that had just happened. Jason's anger, his betrayal, the ache of losing a friendship I thought was unbreakable. I didn't talk to anyone for days. I drowned myself in work and tried to forget what had happened. But it wasn't that easy. The memory of Marcus, his touch, his words, his presence, haunted me in ways I wasn't ready to admit. A month passed, and I thought maybe it was over. I thought maybe time had given me the distance I needed to move on. But then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. "I don't regret a thing. Do you?" I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling slightly as I read the words again. I didn't know how to respond. How could I? The guilt, the confusion, the desire. It all tangled together, and I didn't know where one ended and the other began. What had it been, really? Lust? A brief moment of passion? Or had there been something deeper? Something I didn't understand then? But maybe, somehow, I did now. Was it wrong to feel what I felt? Was it wrong to be drawn to someone so forbidden, so impossible? Or was it just a mistake, a moment of weakness? I didn't know. But I knew this. Things could never be the same again. I couldn't undo the past. So I sent a simple reply. "I don't know." And I meant it. As I stared at the screen, I couldn't help but wonder. Would you have done the same in my place? Or would you have walked away the moment you noticed the signs?